collections, classics, customs, restorations. This is Crossroads Beach House. Okay, as we're moving on here, I thought I'd take a moment just to share how I do some of my decals. A lot of times I will just buy them. I'll find them, the ones I really want, they're online or whatever. Sometimes, though, for special builds, I don't have the luxury of doing that. I also don't have the luxury of having a special printer to do my my decals. If you got a laser jet printer, some of these things will go over to the same. But I just want to talk how I do it with an inkjet printer and how I make my decals for my builds. First thing you do, just go on. You can go on the internet or whatever, or if you're a designer, whatever, you can design your own images. Most of the time, I just go on, find an image. There's a stock image somewhere, and I just copy those. Sometimes you can even take a picture of the image that maybe is on the car before you strip it, and if you want to restore it, you can do that, and then you just go in and you just have to fill in the pixels and stuff and stuff. But that's a little bit more than what I want to talk about this today. Basically, let's say you get an image that you want. Like for my World Services Day build, I'm doing an ambulance, and in the ambulance here, what I'm doing is I got some chevrons. I did the number 30 because this is going to be my 30th build for the 4 Horsemen, and so I've got some different decals I've done. I've also done some other ones you can see here, different images that I pulled. One of the things I do is I get as many images as I can. You know, I put it on a page or whatever. So I have extra, because sometimes the first image may not work right or whatever. You may mess it up while you're trying to put it on your car. So it's good to have extra. And so that's what I do. Once I get my images all set up, what I also do is I try to size them. And you can just go on, just by touching on the image, you can touch on, like I'll touch on this one right here. And if you right click on it, they'll talk in size and position. You can go there and it'll tell you the size, and you can set the size for whatever size you want to do it. And this one is all set, so it's okay. That's the size that I want. And then once you get your images on there, I usually use clear decal paper as much as possible. Sometimes you might need to use some type of white background in order to get them to come out really sharp. But I've just done a lot of clear stuff on images. Usually it's when the two images are close, like you got a red on red, that's going to be a little bit harder to have it show up and stuff. But when you've got like a white background or a light background and a dark image, that usually can show up pretty good. Again, it takes a little bit of playing around and doing this. But okay, once I get this all done, once I've got my sheet with all my stuff on it, I've got my what I always do is I always run a practice sheet. I run a practice sheet for 2 reasons. Here's my practice sheet that I wrote on it, and I do that for 2 reasons. One, because I want to see how the images look when I print them before I use my decal paper, because decal paper is a little bit more expensive than regular paper. So I do that. And then what I do too is what I've done here is I cut out the image, because I want to make sure I've measured it, but when you're measuring it, sometimes when you do that, you can't always be sure. So you want to make sure and say, okay, it's good. That's where I want it. I'm happy with that. So once I've got that, okay. So now you got it. You're ready to print your images onto your decal paper. So then you just go into your file. You go down to print. Now, when you come to print, one of the things I want to point out to you. Let's see if I can just go in a little bit more on this. Oops, there's a little bit too much on the image. What I really want to show you here, see if I can do this. See if we can focus in a little bit more. And right below your printer, up on the top there, right below, we have this printer properties. You'll click on that, and when this box comes up, what you're going to do is you want to make sure that when you hit your paper, you go to sometimes you have photo paper or whatever. I usually do photo paper, and then I go to glossy photo paper because the decal sheets tend to be glossy. Then go down to print quality. If you really want your images to come out with high quality, okay, once you got all that done, then all you have to do is to hit OK, and then you can go and print off your images, and it's going to take a little bit because it takes a little bit longer when it's doing a high quality because it uses a little bit more ink, and then you'll come up with a sheet. You'll come up with a sheet that looks something like this, decal sheet. And once that decal sheet, what I do is I mount it onto some type of stiff cardboard because when it comes time to, because you're going to want to clear coat this afterwards, because if you don't, when you put the decals into the water to soften them up, all your ink's going to run because that's what ink does. So we just take the decals and you take the sheet, mount it on some type of cardboard. A lot of times I don't always do a sheet. I just had a bunch of builds coming up here, so I just did them all at once. But a lot of times I don't, so I just use a little portion of the sheet and I cut it off with a paper cutter, or you can use your scissors too, and just make it small. But then I tack it to a piece of cardboard, and then what I will do is I will take some of this triple thick Krylon clear glaze, and then what you do is you just do a light mist coat over it, do a couple light mist coats, giving it probably 10 minutes or so between coats just to dry, and then I do a couple heavier coats onto it. This way what it does is it seals in that ink, and it seals that in so that when you go to do your decals, they shouldn't run. So that's just kind of how I do it. There's a lot of other people out there on the internet and on YouTube that do probably as good examples, if not better, but I just thought I'd share that with you. Let's move on.